All right, I'm going to be recording this. All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you for hanging out with us. We're live right now on MCon Anime Fest Online. And I have two great guests here with us today. This is episode three, Behind the Artist Table. Behind the Artist Table. I have here Derwin Robertson of Blue Hanzo Art. And I also have Frances Bonnet from Suburban Fairy Tales. All right, I think I'm going to yeah, here we go. I'm gonna drop down my volume there in the background there. Oh, guys, thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for blessing us with your presence on this Friday evening and sharing some knowledge and sharing your experiences, whatnot, behind the artist table here. If you don't mind, I'd like to give the floor a little bit to you guys to give us a nice little presentation. Like pretend I don't know you guys. I know you guys. I've seen we met like many years, so I could count on my both hands. But just for those who don't know you, just give a nice little presentation about who you are, and Derwin, let's go start with you first.
My name is Dorn Roberson. I am a freelance illustrator. I've been a freelance illustrator for about 19 years now. And interestingly enough, we're doing that behind the artist table. I've been doing comic book conventions for about 8 years now. Whew, so when I first met you, I think it was about 8 years ago. You were doing MCon, right? And I worked on everything except animation. It's the only thing I haven't done. I've done package design, product design, toy design. I worked in comic books, and that's it. I'm also I teach an art course, an after-school project in Yonkers, New York, and pretty much that's it. Right now, I'm working on Corrupt, which is you can go check that on the Facebook page. That is supposed to be out in July. We're running a little behind on that, and I'm also working on a comic strip called Bodacious Bovines for Other Ridiculous Productions. That's going to be up in a day or so, and I have also the toner on the books Black and White, the sequel, and nice. Black AF. I'm the colorist on that book there, and it's cool that I'm a colorist, but I want to do more. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's pretty much what I do, and I go to artwork, I go to artist alleys, and I sell artwork. It's what I do.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm definitely going to get back into that. Especially with the story about the Black book, the comic book Black. I'm definitely going to want to hit you up on that later down the line and ask you some questions onto that, because I know some big things are coming up with that storyline. Frances Bonnet, please go ahead, bless us with some of your words and tell us about yourself.
Also a writer, illustrator. I work on a comic strip, Suburban Fairy Tales, which Kelly mentioned. So I've been doing that comic for 15 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's been a while. So I have a bunch of books that I sell, and they're on Amazon, they're on my website. I also do like freelance writing for Archie Comics, gag writing for a couple other comic strips. So I really like humor, so I always like to write funny stuff and what's the next joke,
Yeah.
I do graphic design. That's actually how I make money. You don't always make money doing comics. It's a little extra, but
yeah, it definitely is.
It's more passion than anything else.
Yes.
So I do that. I teach cartooning for kids. So I do that freelance. Whenever I have time, usually on the weekends. So that's a little bit about what I do.
Wow, you guys are pretty heavy hitters then. I mean, like, you got so many years behind you, under your belt, I should say, and have so much things going on. Like it's uncanny that that we actually get to meet each other, and actually it was kind of like, again, it's kind of a blessing that we all get to meet up and whatnot, and actually get to connect a little bit. And I've been watching you guys both grow. Be honest with you, Derwin, like you said, we met like back over there at Eternal Con. several years ago. I feel like it was a lot before even EternalCon as well, or MCon. I think but I think we met somewhere where I get to meet you and draw you into MCon and whatnot.
Yeah,
So I try to remember where, but I'm sure we probably connected somewhere at some convention and whatnot. I've been doing conventions since like 2010, if I could not mistaken. It's we've been both, drawing a lot of art and whatnot, and meeting a lot of people. Francis, I met you. I know we met at EternalCon, but we met a few more times also at MintCon at the Minnesota Library and stuff like that. And I also have seen you done a couple of other workshops, dealing with the youth and whatnot, teaching them about comic book creating and animation. If I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, that was another library, I think.
That was Levittown.
The Minnesota Minicon, right?
Yeah, Levittown. You were at Levittown too?
No, it was the Mineola Minicon. It was like in that library.
Yeah,
and they had us there, and they didn't have a spot for me, so they put me up against the wall. I think it's when I first met you. I met you, and I met oh my God, the dudes over. I'm so bad with names. If I forget people's names, it's like don't take it personal. I'm like really scatterbrained. I'm usually working on like an hour of sleep. Oh my God. I can't remember his name. It's gonna come to you too. You know what? Don't worry about it. But I met another guy there, and he also does his conventions over in Long Island and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I met you at Minneola Minicon. You invited me to MCon. I showed up and I brought like 2 of my students with me.
Yes, I do remember that part. Yes.
Yeah, and it was like, oh my God, and there was like big learning experience for that. But I got to thank you because it was the second year of doing MCon that you had that guest Skim Lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to give her a shout out. So basically, all right, like this is the story, right? This is the story.
Oh God, here it comes.
So, I'm doing the art thing and I'm doing the whole starving artist thing. And, and I didn't have a lot of confidence in myself. And my homeboy, best friend from Japan, and I remember we were going through artist alleys and we were doing San Diego Comic-Con and we were going around trying to get jobs, trying to get work and doing that and pressing the flesh and stuff. And I remember I was doing one convention and I'm walking around and I'm looking at people with their tables and they literally have their sketchbooks open. And I'm like, I could do better than, I could do better than this. What the hell, right? And so I said, let's do this. And then I called my friend up and we're having some.
We actually had like Zoom kind of conked out. What's funny? The funny thing is that everybody and their mama now is using Zoom.
Yes. Oh yeah. Because the other alternatives, because I had to teach some classes. The other alternatives are expensive.
You know what I mean? So everybody using Zoom, whatnot. Oh my God! When we converted MCon to virtually, that Sunday we had a program starting at 11 o'clock, and then we got like a whole news thing coming down. Let me you guys. Yeah. What happened was that we had the whole Zoom shut down. Like it was out of commission, so we had to continue. The show had to go on. So we basically had to do the first half of MCon through Skype, and then we continue on with Zoom. But I'm sorry, technical difficulties, it does happen. Everybody's doing virtually, so I apologize for that. And everybody who's watching, we're back on live here. You guys are here. Go ahead, Durham, what you were saying.
All right. So like I was so boring to Zoom that I can't hate the Zoom conked out. So basically. So like I'm over there and I do some dojin with my friend in Japan, right? And and that was a big deal. That was a big deal for me and stuff like that. And so he comes back and he starts doing like he starts getting pretty famous over there. There was Kazuo Matsushima, look him up, and he was doing like Card Fight Vanguard, Duel Masters. He really likes doing collectible card game art. That's his thing, right? And so we said, you know what, let's do this thing. And we did New York Comic Con for the first year. And that was a great experience, and I'm sat there, and then the guy next to us was Maeda-san, and he was the creator And we're all old here. So remember Legend of the Overfiend, right?
Oh, I remember that. I saw that from.
Oh yeah, that was him. He created and La Blue Girl and Lady Blue, the adult version. You know, she's over 18 and stuff like that. And so his artwork was wow. It was like all tentacles and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But it was cool. So for a week I got to sit there and pick his brain, like, okay, how do you do this and how does that work? And how does that work? How does this work, right? Because kind of, you know me, that's how I do. I'm like, how do you do this, right?
Yeah,
So,
I know you're like a psycho of Wikipedia in your brain there, man.
And I'm just like, how does that work? So, but the thing, I'm getting to the point I'm getting to is my first year at the New York Comic Con, I made maybe like $300 because I was selling original artwork and like little 8.5 by 11. I didn't know what I was doing, right? And it was all my original characters, and I made like no money. I talked to him, and then it was when I did MCon the second year when I met Skimlines, and she had things. So I was like, well, how do you do this and how do you do that and blah 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 blah. And I was like, oh, so it's this, that. And it's the licensed characters. You got to be the poster of that. So then I went, added in like 1 or 2 large poster size, doubled the money I made the next year in New York Comic Con. And then the third year I switched all to just the licensed characters and the big 11 by 17 stuff like that. And I made like $1,400, which is not bad. That's pretty damn good. And from there on, it's just been getting there. But I have to thank you for that because it's sitting there next to her, and I was like, oh, let me pick your brain. Let's see how this works. I'll see how that goes there.
That's the thing. The nice things and the worst things of how things are situated right nowadays is that I with the conventions, I had a large summer convention circuit happening. I'm sure you guys too, also as well. And it's the things I miss about it is that not just meeting out old and new customers. It's also networking with other artists and see what's going on with them, and and branching off each other. Saying you see that person doing this, you see that person doing that, and you'd be like, yeah, I could do the same thing too, and then you could share knowledge between each other, which is I think a format like this is also kind of good as well too, because we can probably you guys don't even know each other, but you were at the same convention. That's just funny. So, I mean, like, during this, I'm sure you guys can connect even after the show and be able to, feed off each other a little bit. I'm going to go to Francis right now. Francis, when we first met, I was checking out your artwork and whatnot, and, I love your style. It reminds me of, like, the classic Sunday paper comic strip, you know what I mean? Like, and you have a nice little turn of it, like, like you inducing fairy tale characters into your stories and whatnot. Can you give us a little bit about like what influenced you to, do it that way? What made you think about doing a comic strip? What made you think about doing the fairy tale? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, like I've just always loved like the Sunday comic strip. So growing up, actually on my block, it was actually really amazing. I had a comic book store right around the corner from me that I used to go to all the time. So I would go there and I'd always get the cheap comics, 25 cents, like, in the 25-cent bin, because that's all I could afford. I was a kid, I was like, 7 years old, 8 years old. But then like right there, like on the next block over was a used bookstore. And so I'd go there. And so I go to the comic book store, then I go to used bookstore, and they had all these Peanuts books, Garfield books, Calvin and Hobbes books.
Yes.
And, they had the old Fawcett Peanuts books, they were the, like the little ones. And, he was selling them for like 50 cents. So I'd go and buy those for 50 cents. And I had this big pile of them. And I loved Peanuts. Peanuts was just the style, the humor, like just the fact that one guy, Charles Schulz, he's the one, he did it for 50 years. He had no help. He wrote it, he drew it, he inked it, he did everything for 50 years. I have so much respect for him and just, how he influenced, a generation of cartoonists. And so then, I want to do this. So I remember, I was in the 4th grade. I was making my own comics and passing them around to my friends. And, they were awful, of course. But we all have to start. We all have to start somewhere. Yeah. So, I always did comics. All through elementary school, I would write my own comics on little, computer paper. And then, middle school, high school. And then I went to I went to college for illustration, so I could try to, you know, improve my skills, and it helped a little bit, but you know, I'm not the best artist in the world, but you know, I got my style, and so I did a comic strip called Crunchy for a while online. So it was about this like crazy turtle and his owner. Like there's a little girl, she owned this turtle, and he was just insane. That I don't, you know, there's just something I came up with. I thought it'd be funny. And in one of the comics, I remember I did a joke about fairy tales in one of the strips. And I kind of was like, oh, you know what? It would be really fun to kind of just do an entire series about like fairy tale characters in modern suburban life. So I kind of was like, all right, I started drawing out like all my characters, like the Three Little Pigs, the wolf and Frog Prince and Pinocchio. But I picked fairy tale characters that you kind of, you know, I didn't pick like Snow White or Cinderella because they don't have like traits that are recognizable. Like, you know, so Cinderella, you know, she's got blonde hair, but Frog Prince, you know, he's a frog and he's got a thing like, you know, he needs to be kissed in order to become, you know, a prince, like a real prince. So that was a trait that stood out to me. The Three Little Pigs, they're pigs, you know, they stand out. The wolf, you know, he blow down your house, or he can, you know, dress up as your grandmother. So
the best character in Chrono Trigger. He was the best. I loved him. So those, and so I kind of just sketched out these characters, and you know, it was a rough start, you know, like anything, and but then you kind of get into a groove. I actually ended the series after about I think a year and a half to do another comic for a little while. Then I came back to it, and I've just been doing it ever since.
I love it, man. Every time I see a new strip come out on Instagram, I get all giddy inside, man. I'll be like, this is going to be hilarious. Those Three Little Pigs that you have out on the strips, man, you know, those are my favorite characters, especially number 3. He is my favorite thus far. And the sheep who always getting lost. It just cracks me up every time. I hope you don't mind, man. I just want to screen share some of your work if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. Let's see here. All right, you can see that, right, guys?
Nice. Yep.
Yeah, man. It's just, you know, you said that you're not as good as artist, but dude, you have the style that fits well with this, you know, like especially what you're doing here. You know, it fits well for what you're trying to, you know, promote and go with when it comes to like your comic strips and whatnot. You know, I deal with a lot of teens. Derwin knows this. I run like an anime club at the library, and I sometimes work with them because, you know, they always want to be writers and want to do their own mangas, and you know, and they always say the same thing. Oh, my art drawing's not so good. I'm like, you can always work with it and get better. I had to. And you can always work with the art skills you have, right, Derwin? Let's just look at one of these here real quick. I just love this, man. You mind I look at your latest one you have out here? Or no one?
Yeah, you know, whatever one. This is that one's part of a story, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this one right here.
Start of the story.
Yeah, this one here. You know, you have the mom coming over to say, meet the 3 little pigs, and he's like, "Mom, what are you doing here?" And she's like, "Can't a mother come to visit? Now let me in. It's freezing out. It's freezing out." And then he's like, "I'm here because I'm getting remarried and I wanted my dumb kids to meet my future husband." He's like, "What?" And then you have number 2 going like, "Well, where is he? I just spent an entire plane ride with him, so I left him outside until I'm not sick of him anymore." And then you hear the knocking on the door. It says, "Can I come in soon?" Oh my God.
Nope.
Kelly, if I ever do an animated version, I'm definitely going to have you as a voice actor.
That, you know, but seriously, this is so funny. And then you have them meet. I know I'm skipping here, but, you know, then you finally meet with the new boyfriend and whatnot. And, you know, it's just hilarious how you have it here. Hopefully, guys who are watching this, you need to check out his Instagram. This is hilarious stuff here, man. You know, it's just and the you know, like I said, the drawing illustrations of it, it just goes so well with it. You know, And then, you know, you have like the number 3 trying to find a girlfriend. And then you have the whole situation with the Frog Prince. He's going through the breakup with the princess. It's just,
Yeah, yeah, that was a storyline going on for a long time, where
yeah.
he was into Rapunzel for a long time, and she always dumped him. You know, she rejected him.
Mm-hmm.
And then you
This
got
is a
this
is a crossover I did with the Gray Zone comics.
Yeah.
So we did about a month ago. I did crossover with a couple other Instagram comics, and so you know I cross over into theirs. They cross over into mine. It was a lot of fun.
Hey, you got a gingerbread man flying the UFO. He says, "You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man." And then the aliens are like, "He said he was going to borrow it."
Never trust a gingerbread man.
Oh, and this one here, I'm not gonna throw any spoils, but when you had number 3 going out on a date with the wolf's cousin, Wolfie. Oh my God, bro. That was hilarious. And the conclusion was just insane. I was expecting something different, but I'm glad, because I would have been like, I could have probably saw that coming, but
people really like this story. This one in particular. You know what, when I created Wolfette, I was gonna make her kind of like a one-off character, like she was just gonna come in for like the storyline, but you know, people were so into it that you know, I'm gonna bring her back.
Oh yeah, please. Yeah. That is all of this right here is just gold, man. I mean, like you brought up with the going to the store and buying the comic strips. I remember that, you know, they would have collective books with, you know, just be nothing but Sunday comic strips. Then you could buy like a thick book, like it fit like a brick, and then you could just read all the classic comic strips they had back in the days and whatnot. And you sell this.
Yeah. I just had a new book come out right at the end of August, beginning of September. It's called there it is, yeah, Scared Sheepless. That's
right. and the price. I mean, the price alone is well worth it. I'm definitely going to show some support and purchase this book, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. It's $10 and you get 118 pages. $10 for 118 pages.
I try to price everything, you know, so that I have a lot of younger readers in my audience, as well as, you know, adults. But, you know, when kids come over, especially to conventions and stuff, like they don't have a lot of money. And, you know, it's like, hey, you know, for $10, and usually at the conventions, I do a deal, 2 for $15. You get 2 different books for $15. Mm-hmm. A lot of people really appreciate that, especially like the younger kids who don't have a lot of money. And then, you know, they can sit and, you know, if we do New York Comic Con on the train ride home or on the way home, they sit there and they read the thing. And then the next day I'll get like, you know, like a message like, oh, you know, I didn't realize like how much fun your comics were. And that always makes me feel really good, you know?
This is great, man. I mean, you know, you have so many like comic books out there nowadays with so much like, like agendas and motivation and politics into it. I mean, like this here is just like a simple book, a simple story, that people can still relate to and still have a laugh about it. And, you know, and you're using, story time characters, which is like classic, bro. I mean, this is great, man. This is good stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, I try to keep politics and all that out of my comics. And I think it was Charles Schultz who said it, like, you know, like he kept politics out of his comics too. And, you know, I don't want to date them, you know, like,
yeah.
Like, you know, like Doonesbury is a good example where, you know, you look in the paper, you read the newest strip and, you know, it's funny, you know, right now, but, you know, is it going to be funny 10 years from now? Or is somebody going to get it 10 years from now? Mm-hmm. Probably not. So I try to keep stuff so that, you know, if you read it, you know, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, that's why a lot of people I saw were doing pandemic comics. Yeah. And I touched on it just a little bit, but not enough for it to, like, to be like, oh, you know, to mention actually COVID and coronavirus, because, you know, that also dates it because, you know, hopefully, you know, next year when that's behind us.
Hopefully.
Yeah. You know, it won't be as funny anymore.
Yeah. You know, I still can knock people to still do that. For one thing is, us being artists, whatnot, you know, sometimes we need something to draw out. Like some people write, you know, how they feel and they, you know, and the scenario is like affecting everybody. And this is one way
Everyone's
they
different.
can. Yeah, exactly. This is one way they can.
That's just how I want to do my comics. Is I want to keep as much of reality or like what's going on in the world out of it, so that you can get an escape from the world. You go in here and it's escape to like another universe, another
and
world.
we all need an escape, bro. I mean, this is like this is like really hilarious stuff. I mean, literally, when I see this on Instagram, I'm like in tears laughing on like these strips here and whatnot. You see me comment all the time and whatnot. Every time you come out with something new, it's just really cool, man. And I really feel I really hope that something like this, explode into next levels for you. I really hope so.
I appreciate it. I always see your commenting. I always appreciate the comments.
So I mean, like,
fun.
So what I want to get into now is that like Derwin, what is like the what is any projects you're working on now? I mean, you mentioned like the comic book Black and stuff like that. Like right now they have something going on, which I even put out here. Let me just show you real quick once again. Let me go back to share.
Well, if you don't want to be political, that book is very political. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I mean, we could go on and off, but we're not gonna go deep with it. But but everybody know is that Warner Brothers, like you see on the screen share there, Warner Brothers is adapting Black, the comic book, into what, they making a TV series or a movie?
I don't know. That's not my department. All I know is that Kwanzaa and Tim, they're the co-creators of the book. You'd have to really contact them. I think it's that and something called Philadelphia is being turned into a movie. A movie deal got signed for it back in like 3 years ago. But the nature of comics is that movie deals get signed and sometimes it never happens. They get lost in development, And that's the thing now. But especially after this year, they're gonna jump on that black property.
Right.
Oh yeah, they're going in. They're just gonna go in. I'm not getting any of that money.
Sorry, brother. Sorry, man. But what was your involvement in it? Like, can you tell us a little taste about what's your involvement?
Okay. I guess I could show you some of the.
Oh, okay. Let me get out. Let me get out of this then.
Did you get a producer credit on there?
Basically, no. So basically, I'm the toner, right? And let me try to find something from an older issue, because I can't show you anything from the current stuff.
For those who don't know, can you tell us like what is Black about? I mean, like, I know you're not the author or anything like that, but you should. I'm sure you had read something a little bit. Like, what is it about?
I'll give you a basic synopsis. Basically, it's literally about a world where only Black people have superpowers.
Right.
And it leads into this myth that is kind of in our culture that Black people are superhuman. It's like you'll ask doctors and like literally they polled a bunch of medical students and they believe that we feel less pain and stuff like that, and how we're seen as being older and scary and stuff like that. So it kind of takes it to an extreme. It's literally like it's literally the book itself is kind of it's the result of a lot of frustration, right? And like you said, it's when it's a way to get that frustration out, and basically my involvement in the book, it's a black and white book, and so Jamal Igo used to do Green Lantern and Supergirl for DC Comics. He's the penciler and I do believe the inker as well. And so what happens is they'll send me the basic, I guess the best way I can show, I'd have to show you, right?
Yeah, please.
But basically, they send me the line work, and then I don't color it because it's a black and white book, but I do the tones, right?
Oh, okay.
And because I've worked in Japan, I'm very comfortable in black and white, and I'm very comfortable. And then I'll do all kinds of tricks and stuff.
Like kind of like, is it like manga? Like half?
Yes, something like that. So now the thing about Japanese comics is that they do the black and white because, like you said, like you do your book, you make it cheap. They want to make it as cheap as possible, right? And so you'll get an issue of Shoulder Jump is printed on like one step up for newsprint, right? And if they don't keep them for a few, they don't collect like Shoulder Jump stuff like that. We collect comics here. They just like dispose of them. And it keeps the price down. But that's why everything's done in black and white. You use zipper tone. and they do really creative ways. So let me just bear with me a second. I'm
Yeah.
trying to find something that won't get me in trouble.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, we don't want you in trouble.
That's the best way I can describe this. Something that won't, like, oh, you can't show that and stuff like that.
Understood
Also,
on that.
again, I'm not, I'm not at my normal computer, so I don't have my normal resources here and stuff.
I'm sorry, I put you on the spot. I should have warned you a little ahead of
that's
time.
fine. That's fine. No, I know where to get runs. I know.
So how do you get in contact with him?
I'll zoom in real quick and I'll give you an example. Let's find a good page here. Let's find a good one. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Okay, and so we'll get this set up. Here we go. Okay, so open this up. Yes, computer is slow.
So how do you get in contact with him to get this kind of job to do like the shading and all that and lighting?
So see, this is the weirdest thing about comics, right? Tom McFarlane just gave the documentary about him. He says it, I believe. He said the hardest part about comics is getting your foot in the door.
Yeah.
And once you're in, it's kind of like it's who you know. It really is. So I got this job. So I got this job because I was across at a comic book convention from Tim, right?
That's
Tim's
right.
been the third co-creator. I have known Tim for over 20 years. My best friend Kazuo used to live on 23rd Street in Manhattan, and I met Tim through Kazuo because he used to hang with him, right? Mm-hmm. And Tim was working at Marvel back then, and he didn't want anybody to know. He's like, "Yeah, I work at Marvel." That was his thing, and I was like, "Okay, so, you didn't get bombarded. Somebody worked for Marvel. Like, you work for Marvel?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, cool. That's cool, man. And so that's how I met him. So I was doing the Schomburg show, right? And at the Schomburg show, he was there with the Black crew, and they were up to issue number 4. And basically, I came in and I was like, "Yo, dude, I love this project. What do I got to do to get on board? I really believe in it." He doesn't go to him. And, he saw that I was doing my thing. I had done, you remember that Luke Cage picture I did?
Oh, hell yeah, yeah.
And it was getting an insane response. So he said, "All right, so what's your tab look like?" I sent him some samples. And I took over, this is perfect. I took over issue number 4, because it was 6 issues, right? It was 6 issues the first series. I did 5 and 6. They liked me so much they had me redo the first 4 issues.
Nice, good for you, man.
For the trade paperback. And then we did the spinoff Black AF, and now I'm doing White. So, and if they keep me on board, I guess I'll be doing, I don't know what the third, it's supposed to be a trilogy. I don't know what the third book's going to be called. Maybe it's called, I don't know. So we shall see.
Well, they'll be fools to get rid of you.
Yeah, I know, but my editor Sarah, she puts up with a lot for me. I'm not. Sometimes it's like things happen. Like when we were doing Black AF, that was done through Black Mask Studios. So like, okay, Black and White were done through Kickstarter, right? So
right.
They were paid. The spinoffs were done through Black Mask Studios, and this is guys out of California, and I will never work for them again. Because they did not pay us in any time or fashion whatsoever. And it was at one point I had not gotten paid in 9 months, and I'm like, dude, I'm not finishing this book until I get you. You remember, I was really salty. I was like so salty. I was just like, and my teaching job, I wasn't getting, money was tight.
Yeah,
money was so tight. And I was like, man, kids. And then I learned another lesson about this industry is that happens sometimes,
Right.
You got getting to work is one thing, then you got to get paid is another one.
Yeah, man, for real.
And it's nuts, man. There's just so much involved in it. But I mean, that's how I got that job. It's literally, I pursued the job. I said, I want this job, and I think you kind of got to have the attitude. You've got to really just be like, look, I can do this. I'm good for this job. Let's go. Let's get it in. All
Right.
right. So I think I will not get myself in trouble here.
Okay.
And thank you for bearing with me and all the audience there. So I'm gonna share screen. Okay, you gotta enable screen share on your end.
All right, let me see here. Sorry.
No problem. No
But
problem.
I did that. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so let's see if this works now, right? So, so this is the line work, right, that I'll get. And Jamal is doing. Can you guys see that?
Not yet. It says DERWIN has started screen sharing, but we haven't seen anything yet. Francis, you see anything?
Now I see it.
All right, let me
Okay.
see. Let me go back.
Right.
There we go. That's better.
Yeah. So that's Jamal. Jamal's nice. He's nice like that, right? So that's his line work. And then I will do the gray tones. And when I'm done with it, it looks like that.
Okay. Wow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very
And
impactful.
that's my job. Yeah. And so I'll try to give the characters, I'll try to imply the colors. And my thing was, so in Japan, there's a thing we call omake, right? Which is literally controlling the white spaces on the page. And so I try to use that. And then I said, you know what? Let me just do some lighting effects. Let me do all that. And, and then I'll try to make energy effects, and I'll try to do two things. And then I'll try to make the page look interesting. Right. And I'll try to make the story flow. Came up with a visual, a language. You know what I mean? So that's what you want to do. And once I established that, then I just continued on there. And I was always, ironically enough, I met Larry Hama. Larry Hama is he used to write G.I. Joe for Marvel.
Oh,
and
wow.
Remember all the G.I. Joe figures, the backs of the action figures? He wrote all those bio cards, right? And so he gave me some really good advice. He said, think like a movie. He said, watch movies as much as you can. So when I'm toning or when I'm coloring, well, especially when I'm toning, I'm thinking, if this was a movie, what do I want to see, right? And one of the ways I got the job is because there's a thing about dark skin is that it reflects light. And a lot of people don't do that when they do comics. They call it, I do that, right? And you have to, and it's just one of those little tweaks that pushed me over the edge and got me the job. But I'm always thinking, I'm like, if they make a movie on this, the cinematographer is going to be based like you've seen Conan the Barbarian, the original, right?
Oh yeah. You're talking about with Arnold Schwarzenegger, or
yes.
Right? Yeah.
So if you don't know who Frank Frazetta is, Frank Frazetta is the guy who painted the covers of all the Conan novels.
Oh yeah, man.
And there's a really good documentary about it. Huh?
Those were fire. That's when they used to really care about posters, man.
That's right. Painting with fire. But the thing was that when they made the Conan movie, the first one, they based it on his paintings. They used his paintings as base. So I said, you know what? If they make a movie about this, they'll be basing the cinematography and the lighting. The DP is going to be looking at my work. So I always try to be conscious of that. What it's going to look like on a movie screen and stuff. At the same time, remembering it is a comic book, right? There's certain things you can do in this medium that you can't do in other mediums. Yeah.
Do you work in Photoshop? Because I saw you had it open in Photoshop.
Oh yeah, I work in Photoshop almost exclusively. I've used Illustrator. If I have to do vector art, I will go and give my pint of blood to the Illustrator gods for do that. Wow. Yeah, but I use Photoshop. I don't use Psy. I don't use that. I was thinking about trying Comic Studio, and yes, I call it Comic Studio because they call manga just means comics.
Manga. They changed the name. It's Clip Studio now. They changed.
Right. It's because they got tired of the confusion because it literally was called Comic Studio in Japan. It's called Manga Studio here. I've heard it's really, really good, but
yeah, I use it exclusively now. Like all my comics are done on Clip Studio.
Because I know you've got a whole thing of digital screen tones in it, right? And I know for Photoshop, I had to get a plugin and stuff like that. Because, the thing about Photoshop is image manipulation. It's not a drawing program. So you don't get the best curved lines and stuff. Like I said, I am not opposed to Manga Studio. It's just that I need to get a copy and sit down with it
it's actually it's way cheaper than Photoshop too. I think it's like $50 or $60 on Amazon.
Yeah, no, but Photoshop, no, now Photoshop is the membership. It's $30. It's like 20 bucks a month, 20 bucks. And
Well, no, like Clip Studio is like
Yeah.
$50, and it's like that's it. It's like with
Okay.
Photoshop, you have to pay every month.
Yeah, but he's saying
Yeah,
Photoshop, you have to pay monthly to keep it.
Yeah,
That's insane.
I'll tell you this right now. I will tell you this. It has an auto backup feature. That's all I gotta say. You don't know how many nights the computer has crashed, and that has literally saved me hours of work, so it paid for itself. Right? So I'm like, you know what, 20 whatever bucks a month, I'm cool, but I will definitely try out. I was supposed to get a copy from a client, and they never sent it to me. But I was gonna say about Psy, I'm not a big fan of Psy, and I'm not a big fan of GIMP, because I teach, and a lot of my students, that's their first thing, it's free and stuff like that. But I told them, I said, the thing about Photoshop, you get all these different tools, right? And when you're using Psy or GIMP, you've got a much smaller, and if you've only got a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. With Photoshop, you'll literally try things, and you're like, and you'll do something really, you'll come up with something that you normally wouldn't have thought of, because Photoshop's got all this crap they can do. But no, seriously though, I can't say enough. I have no issue with Manga Studio, and I am looking forward to trying it out. Yeah.
I have. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you work on a tablet, a graphic tablet too?
Yes, I had not an Intuos. I had a no Intuos, right? I had a client who gave me this new XP Pen 24 that I'm using. It's right here. You can't see it. So that's what I'm working on right now. I used to use an Intuos, medium size, and it caused. It's great. I'm used to it. I've been using Intuos since 1999, but a lot of straight on, and this is just much more comfortable and much faster, because you're not using as much mental energy to transpose. Because when you use an Intuos, you use a tablet, you're looking at the screen, but your hand's down there. Now you're just like, okay, I'm just I'm getting in there.
I always had trouble with that. Was it like a disconnect? I had an Intuos, and it was a disconnect.
Yeah. Because I got so busy, and it got to the point I didn't even notice it anymore. It's just, it does put a lot of strain on my neck and my back, because it's down here, and you got one hand here and you got in there. This is just way more comfortable. But yeah, I do what's called a hybrid method. Usually I'll scan, and then I will, I'll draw by hand, scan it to the computer, and then I'll do all the inking and coloring there, right? Or if I'm really pressed for time, I'll just draw straight onto the computer. That's how if the deadline's really kicking my ass. I don't like that because the lines aren't, it's different. You know what I mean? It's different. Your style is one way when you draw with pencil. It's going to be a little bit different when you're drawing with the tablet.
Yeah, true enough. I agree with that. I definitely agree to that. I do drawing workshops for teens, and ever since this whole pandemic came and shut down everything, I started doing virtual workshops with teens instead now, and it hasn't been a challenge. It's just only the challenges is that you don't know if they're following you or not, because you can't really see them half the time. Yeah. But I agree with what you say that DERWIN. It's like, when I'm doing it in-house, I usually do it, with an Elmo projector, and I do things free-handedly with a pencil and pen. And, and it's a lot different, like you said, from drawing on a digital tablet. At least you can, when you're doing it at home, you're home, and you can make adjustments when you're home. Mm-hmm. But when you're live and you're there in front of the people and whatnot, you're always subconscious about how clean your lines really are, and and it's not the same whatnot as you would have done it over doing it in hands. But I couldn't do it that way. But the only reason I do it this method with the digital tablet is because they could look at the reference I'm using and draw along with me, or draw on their own while I'm doing the drawing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's different, but it is what it is.
It took a little while to transfer to go for, because I used to do paper like everyone else did since the beginning of time, but it took a little while to get used to doing it digitally, but once I switched to digital, I just like that, like, you can bring your studio with you wherever you go.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you got a laptop, huh? I prefer my like to sit down. I got the desk. I got the computer. I'm like, I don't like portable video game systems. Like, no, I want a TV. You know, just get out of here. You know,
65-inch 4K. That's what you want.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Well, it's funny too because at my place back in the city, I literally had like a 56-inch plasma old. It's like old, right? But that was my monitor. So I use that as my computer monitor. So I'm drawing. I've got this huge thing like that. It's like, it's great. You just get in there like, yeah, but you have to stop yourself because you'll sit there zoomed in like 500%, doing little things like no one's ever going to see it.
Yeah.
I do the same thing.
Yeah, you're eating time. It's like, man, nobody's going to look at this, man. So I have a hard limit. I never zoom in more than 200%. I just got to stop myself. Like, nope.
Microscope comes with every issue.
But it's great. I highly recommend if you got a old what you call it TV, use it as a monitor, man. It's for drawing. It's because it's great. You get to sit there and you've got it huge. It's good. You know, you don't strain your neck as much. Man, I love it.
What's your weapon of choice, Francis? What do you use at home to create your comic book?
Actually, I'll show you right now. I got my video. I got it's a Cintiq it's actually tethered to the laptop I'm on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I'm home, I do that. But I also have I have this here. This is it's a Samsung Galaxy book. I use this when I'm on the go just because it's a little more compact. It's a small screen. It's a 12-inch screen, but it lets me, like, if I'm like, if you go, you never want to stop drawing. Even on vacation, I bring it with me.
Yeah.
So I can just, you can sketch, and it helps you not fall behind in your work if you're out somewhere. So I've kind of trained myself to kind of work anywhere.
So so that's I'm sure when you used to do in-house drawing workshops, it's the surface you'll be bringing to you, right? You'll be bringing that along, and then you will work off on that, or do you bring the Syntec?
I used to bring this is new, actually. I got this laptop. It's like a Surface. It's not exactly a Surface, but I got that back in January. But before that, I was using the Cintiq and bringing my laptop.
I have one too. I also have a Wacom Cintiq. It's a 12-inch screen. I never used it. I've been using it for the last 3 years, but this is like a very old model. My friend gave it to me back in 2012, believe it or not. And I always been a free-handed artist. I always been believing in just drawing and things out. My first 2 comic books that they were Just Blaze, they were all freehand drawings. It was never digital. So when I moved out and got my own place here, now I finally cracked it open and I started working with it. Now I wish I have always used it because it's so convenient at half the time. You know what I mean? Especially when you're inking, you'll easily just modify whatever you want to do with it. And you can even use the same image and then just modify it to use something else. But it's great for animation too when you do digital. So I mean, like it's perfectly fine. But it just sometimes it gets used to with the strokes. I'm trying to get used to the brushes, whatnot. When it comes to it's not the same as using like regular pens and markers, whatnot. You're familiarized with the different tips that what works well with, and then me trying to get used to the brushes. I'm trying to get used to what works well with certain details and certain shading. It doesn't come very clean as I always have to end up erasing the edges. I mean, you guys ever deal with anything like that in your process?
I'll say that with the digital drawing, that it allows me, and I'm sure other artists too, to take more risks. I feel like I will take more risks because I make a mistake. If you made a mistake on paper and you have all that ink there, you gotta get the pro white out but with this, you go back, you can go back 15, 30 steps. You can have all these layers and that's what's great about it is I'll go crazy. I can draw my characters on top of other layers, have the other characters. So that's what I'll say about that.
For me, I'm lazy, so I mean, I use one default like hard edge brush, and I'll just make it bigger or smaller. I might use a softer edge brush if I want to do that. And then for erasing, I use like a softer edge brush. I use like one brush setting basically.
Okay.
It's pressure sensitive, tilt sensitive, and I'm good with that. When I'm coloring, it's the same thing. I'll just make it bigger or smaller. I use a lot of gradients. It's funny too because I won't give him any advertising, but there's like a guy who reviewed one of the comments I worked on, and he was complaining. He was like, oh man, this guy's his work is so gradient heavy, and and they need to just fire him. And I was like, yeah, but I got paid already. Yeah. So for me, I'm like, yeah, I enjoyed that paycheck I got from that book, so you can hold that. So, but I use a lot of gradients because it's close. If I didn't have the tools, I'd be using an airbrush for that. So,
yeah.
Again,
I used to do that.
It's like so God, when I went to San Diego Comic-Con, oh God, it was like 2000. Jesus Christ, it was a long time ago, right? Maybe 2005, 2006. Mm-hmm. And so remember, there was this company called Tokyo Pop, right?
Oh yeah.
You're Tokyo Pop, yeah. So
they're still around, right?
Yeah, I thought they were.
Huh?
I thought Tokyo Pop was still around.
No, I think they're gone, man. I don't know. I have no idea. But they did this thing called the Rising Stars of Manga, contest to get your own book and stuff like that. And and I entered it twice. I didn't win. And then what happened is a friend of mine actually did work for them, and they wanted this insane thing. They wanted like 100 pages a month from them, and I was just like, you guys are nuts, right? For like no money, couldn't afford to hire like a assistant or anything like that. So. What happened is all the books that came out from people that wanted weren't that good because the pressure was so insane on them. But I went and sat down with them, and so I did this book called Cosmo Soldier Napalm, right? It was like a 10 page thing I did, and that was back, I inked it on a light box, right?
Yeah. I still got mine.
Oh yeah, and so it wasn't the best inking in the world. Ironically enough, the reason I started using Photoshop is I hate inking. I hate it, right? People love it, hate inking. So I was trying to skip the inking stage. You can't. So so I'm showing them stuff, and I'm using a lot of instead of using Zippertone, I'm using a lot of grays and stuff like that. And they got on my case. Like the lady was like, well, you're using a bit too many computer techniques and stuff like that. And people prefer if it has an authentic look. And I'm like, look, the only reason they use Zippertone in Japan is because that's what's there. You don't get hung up on it looks this way, it's done by tradition. And the irony is that now you go look at books now, like One Punch Man, Berserk, stuff like that. They use digital screen tone. They use gray tone. They're using the computer, right? And it's like it's one of the things I'm trying to say is don't get hung up on the method, right? Don't get hung up on it looking this way because that's how this looks. No, you're doing your own thing. You want it to look your own way and stuff. Use the tool, like Francis said, experiment, come up with something unique. Yes, that's my mom walking back and forth in front of the camera. Hi, Mom. You're on camera.
Speaking of which, Francis, what is the process that you go through? Like, how long does it take you to finish a couple of pages, for your comic strip? I know you. Well, let's just say, how about finishing one strip? What is the process, and how long does it take you and to think up the story? Do you write it out? Do you write a script out? Do you prepare a couple pages?
Yeah. So actually, I got it over here. I have a sketchbook, and I don't know if you can see, but I write down, I kind of sketch out what my ideas are going to be for whatever storyline, and it's very messy. Only I can read it, so that's good. But I write down all my ideas here, and sometimes I'll just write, I'll write like 2 or 3 pages worth of comic strips, and maybe I like that. Maybe I like 10% of them. But the thing is, I just get the idea down. Once I have the idea down and I'm happy with the idea, and that could take anywhere from, I could write down something in 15 minutes, or it might take an hour. Then I sketch it out in Clip Studio. I actually do the lettering first, just so I know how much room I have for the actual artwork. So I'll do lettering usually on the top of the panels. Usually they're about 3 panels. I can even show you one if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead. You want to screen share? Go for it.
Yeah, let me see.
That's interesting because you know when I do a structure for a page, when I do a page, I usually do the illustration first, but I try to make sure I have like a little room for where I'm going to be putting the speech bubbles, you know, stuff like that. So that's pretty interesting. You put out the text out first, and then do you have like a rough draft of the artwork behind it when you put the speech bubbles out, or you actually just put the lettering first?
I actually I do the lettering first. I just write into the empty panels.
Okay.
Let me see. I'm going to try to open one up here. All right. Yeah, I don't mean to like create like silence here. So
no, that's all good, man. It's all right. But like how long it takes you to like, you know, like to draw it out and color it, stuff like that?
So to draw this an actual strip only takes about a half an hour depending on what's going on, because I'm only doing 3 panels.
Yeah. I remember one time I put one of my pages out that the book I'm working on now, and you asked me how long it took you to do that, and I was wondering why you would ask me that. You know, did it look like it took like a long process? Like, you know, what's you know, do you remember the page that I'm talking about? What I'm referring to?
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, okay, all right, yeah. So I actually have it open in Photoshop right now. Sorry, Kelly, I missed what was your question? It was
yeah, I remember you saw one of my pages that I'm working on a new book I'm working on, and you asked me how long it took you to color that and whatnot, to finish one page and whatnot, and I told you it took me like a couple of hours because, you know, I'm homebound now, so I'm using up my time to just work straight through. But
and you're also you also do a lot with different, you know, you're doing gradients and shading and all that.
Yeah.
I color with flat color, so it's quicker.
Yeah.
You know, I'm basically using the paint bucket tool, but to fill in the color, because, you know, typically newspaper strips are done with flat color, so I'm trying to keep that kind of that look, you know, like you're reading a Sunday comic strip.
Indeed.
But if you see here, so
okay, yeah, I see it.
Yeah, there. So I got so I do all the dialogue up here first. And this was all done in Clip Studio. Then I pencil it out over here. Then I do the inks, which Derwin, I know you hate.
Yes.
I do the inks over that, and then this one actually I haven't done the color on this one yet. This is actually something that you'll see next week.
Nice. So, a little spoiler for me. Thank you. Thank you.
A little spoiler here.
All right.
Yeah, but then I'll add the color in. And actually, I actually do the coloring in Photoshop. So everything else is done in Clip Studio, like the pencils and the drawing. But I'm more familiar with Photoshop for coloring, so that's what I do coloring in.
Okay.
And what do you do? Like, how do you like do the coloring? Do you put like a solid flat color first, and then you layer it with the colors on top of like the skin tones and the clothes, stuff like that?
Yeah. So like what I'll do is like I'll open it up like I have here. I'll hide the pencils. You know, I usually just, you know, flatten the whole thing, and once I do that, you know, I create a new layer, create the layer behind it. This one you set it to multiply. I lock it so I don't do any of the colors, and then all the colors, you know, go here. And I've got you know, like the swatches saved.
Yes.
Over here, so I got all the swatches. So like I've got the, you know, the pigskin color over here. So I'll zoom in and basically, you know, just kind of like that. I fill it in.
There you go.
And it goes pretty quick because again, it's all flat color.
That's pretty cool, man. I love it and whatnot. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, when you make these characters up, man, do you like have like friends and family you think of when you make up their personas or whatnot? Like, you know, like the 3 little pigs. Are they like siblings of yours that you like? You mark this up as?
I'm not going to answer like who is who, because I'm going to say that yes, some of them are based on people that I know, but that's as far as I'm going to go.
All right.
Yeah. Smart
just in
man.
case they're watching.
Oh,
Smart
pretty
man.
cool. That's pretty cool, man. I like it, man. Again, I'm definitely gonna pick up a book, man, and then check out more of your stuff there, and whatnot. That's definitely cool. I love it, man. And the process is it's neat and very clean. Do you use special brushes, or is that something that that came with the software?
Actually, I just use, when I go into, like, if I have Clip Studio open over here, I just use the G Pen. I really like the way that feels and gives you a nice solid line.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That's nice. Wow, that's pretty cool. I love it. I'm gonna get a little bit dark here, a little bit. Just to tone it down a little bit. Since like the pandemic happened and everything was shut down and whatnot, what have you guys been doing lately to keep up and try to like reach out to your followers and try and get work and stuff like that? Did you had a huge convention list upcoming that was unfortunately canceled? Like when you found out, what was your mind frame?
Well, for me, it was like I'm kind of really disorganized. So my problem with conventions is that I would usually be like, "Oh yeah, this convention's coming up. Can I get a spot?" Or this convention's coming up. So I've never really planning that far ahead with the convention. So literally around March, March when the shutdown happened, and I said, "Oh well," literally it was like, "I'm not going to be teaching anymore." And I just called up my sister. I was like, "Yeah, I'm coming to stay with y'all for a while." And said, "Okay." And I've been here since then. And I literally just said 2020 is a wrap.
Right.
It's done. It's over. Start planning for 2021. Because I was like, yeah, this whole thing, people aren't gonna do what they're gonna do. The government's gonna do that, and it's gonna be a huge mess. And I figured it would take us about a year if we're lucky, for things to go back to any semblance of normal. And even then, it may not go back to normal. Things. When the pandemic in 1918 happened, it caused a huge societal shift, right?
Yeah.
If you go read up on the Spanish flu outbreak and how it literally erased cultures and caused like revolutions all over the world. So we'll go see what's gonna happen. So yeah, for me, it wasn't. I was kind of prepared for it. I expected there to be no conventions this year. I said, all right, and luckily I'm in a position where I'm not financially dependent on that, if you know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm really, some people, that's like a huge chunk of their income gone. And I feel bad for, I feel so bad for like everybody, if you work in a movie theater and if you own a restaurant, and so many people's livelihoods just evaporate because of this. But yeah, and I've been just keeping busy. I've got these projects, and it's put me in a place where it's like, okay, now I have time to do these projects, and I'm not like, sleep deprived anymore. So I'm lucky. I'm really, 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 really lucky. I'm here with the family, and it's good. So yeah.
And family's good. Everybody's safe. No COVID affection.
Right. No. I mean, dude, I had a friend of mine, his mother caught it, and she survived, thankfully.
Good.
He has a $2.5 million medical bill he has to pay.
Wow.
$2.5 million.
What? How's that even possible?
Because she was in the hospital for 4 months, and they had to do all these different treatments on her and stuff like that. Yeah.
Man.
$2.5 million. And I'm like,
they can't be serious on that. They cannot be serious on that.
No, he's definitely serious. He showed me the paperwork. He's like, yeah, literally, yes.
And they expecting that money.
Luckily, so and the thing is, he's got the insurance to pay for it, hopefully, but he's gotta fill out all these forms and do it right, and then get these, and he's gotta put in all these claims and stuff like that. It's just nuts, it's just insane. So I don't think he's in danger of going bankrupt from it. But $2.5 million.
I know, man. That's ludicrous. That's ludicrous.
Yeah. But like I said, I'm very lucky. I really am.
What a mess, this whole thing. What about you, Francis? Hey, how you been coping during the whole pandemic?
Well, I'll say that, when the pandemic hit, when it first came out, I think I had a convention for the summer that was obviously canceled.
Right.
And New York Comic Con took a very long time for them to actually announce that it was going to. It took like 2 months.
I knew that wasn't going to happen. I don't know what they were trying to pull with that.
And I was like, if they have it, I don't want to go. I'm like, I'm not going.
Bodies in there.
Yeah.
No thanks.
So yeah, I didn't expect it to happen, but I'm glad they canceled it because I don't want to be around a lot of people right now. I had a scare in the beginning of March. I thought that I had it, but it actually turned out just to be the flu.
Okay.
But like there are people who are getting hit really hard with this, and it scares you. Yeah. And work-wise, I set my comic strip, my schedule myself. So, I've actually been able to have more time because I'm home to work on my comic strip. But like my freelance work, I know with Archie Comics, to do freelance writing for them, I was doing an average of probably like one story a month, maybe one story every other month for a while. And then, they didn't have anything published for a while because of the pandemic, and it's just everything got backed up. So I think the last story that came out was actually I had written it in like February. I think it eventually ended up coming out in like I think June, and then I have another story coming out in November. But it's like those are huge gaps now, stories, and it's because COVID contributed to that. It's like the work has slowed down.
Yeah.
If that also got affected due to the whole thing I keep hearing about with Diamond, with DC and whatnot, the distributor
affected all
and whatnot. Yeah, so yeah, man, it's comic book stores and everything got like it was insane about how hard this is to hit the economy and everybody else. It sucks. What stories do you work on with Archie Comics?
So I work mainly on the classic. Actually, only on the classic stuff. So digests. So I'll do some cover ideas where I don't actually get credited for those. I come up with whatever the cover will be, like what the idea will be, whether it's a joke, whether it's Archie and the gang doing something, and then it goes to Dan Parent or whoever else is gonna do the artwork on that. The actual stories I do get credited for when I write them, and those I do the Archie digest. I'll do World of Archie, and actually the one I have coming out in November is my first Betty and Veronica story. It's actually
nice.
Yeah, so it's the last issue of Betty and Veronica Friends, and then it's going to be renamed to, I think it's World of Betty and Veronica.
Okay.
Yeah.
I used to, when I was a kid, I would always be like in the cash lane in the supermarket, and one of the biggest things I always did was pick up a digest Archie comic book and skim through it and look at it, and always see Jughead eating a burger and Archie always getting chased down by Betty and Veronica. How, off the subject on the Archie comic books, but still in there. Do you watch that Riverdale on CW, or used to watch it on Riverdale?
I get asked that.
Yeah, sure.
A lot, but I have nothing against the show because I've actually never seen it.
Okay.
I don't watch it, and some people are like, oh, it's not Archie. I will say that it just helps bring Archie, like awareness to Archie by having the show Riverdale on TV, and the same with the Sabrina show they have on Netflix, and I know they had the Katie Keene show also on the CW. I think that got canceled though. But I'm not against these shows because they still have classic Archie. So if you want to read the digest and you want classic Archie, that's available to you. It didn't go anywhere. Same with they have a different art style now in the main Archie books. you know, if you don't like it, you don't have to read it, but it's there for you. And I think it just helps bring more readers in. So I think it's a good thing that they've branched out. I think it's good that they tried different styles but they still kept classic going. And that's what's important, is that you have a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could never, you know, me growing up with the digest, Archie, you know, I could never really look at it seriously and whatnot. I mean, I watched the first season and I was like, you know, every time I kept watching, I kept thinking of like the regular Archie crew or whatnot. I even grew up on the old Saturday morning cartoons, Archie Junior Gang, you know, when they were like kids and whatnot. They had like chibi versions of them. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, that's the '80s cartoons I'm talking about, and they even had like the Archie Mysteries, and I think Riverdale was based off from the Archie Mysteries, and even the graphic novel afterwards, right? If I'm not mistaken, they have an adult version, well, not adult version, but more a young adult Archie book. That's I think Riverdale is based on it, right? Am I wrong on that or right?
Yeah, I think they do have a Riverdale that was based on the show, comic. I don't know if they still have issues coming out based on the show, but I know that there was a Riverdale comic coming out for a little while.
I was mad that they never had Reggie in the show though.
I think I have not watched the show.
Right.
You know, look, I'm not the target audience.
I know.
Riverdale.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine too, man. I fell off after season one. It just got like, whoa, this is getting really deep. But I'm sure it's for somebody out there. It just wasn't. For me
and that's the thing. I've had a lot of kids come to the table at New York Comic Con now, because now I'll put all the Archie books that I work on, and they'll come over and like, oh, that's why, you know. Some of them will know that this is, you know, where Riverdale's based on, and I've had a couple kids who are like, oh, that guy's name is Jughead, just like that show Riverdale. I'm like, kid, this came first.
Yeah, makes you feel old.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh God, but you know, it's weird. You know, I was talking to another artist. I'm going back to the pandemic situation now, but I'm sorry for flip flopping, but I was talking to a group of artists and whatnot about like the situation that's happening and whatnot, and a lot of them, like you say, Derwin, you feel bad for them because you know they probably depend on the conventions and to meet up with that. That's the only way they can reach out to their audience or their customers and whatnot. But then you know, I heard all those woe is me's, and you know, which is it's understandable. But one guy out of the group was actually saying like, you know what, like you saying, it just, you know, it just gives me more time to work harder and be able to bang out more stuff so I can be ready for next year. And I see a lot of artists doing that. They're keeping themselves busy, and I think it's also therapeutic too to keep their mental right during these times. And they're working on this stuff. I mean, I haven't seen so many people doing live drawings in my life, me included. I'm doing live drawings every Tuesdays at 7 o'clock. Man. So it's like, you know, so a lot of people's doing live drawings. They try to reach out. You guys promote. I know, Francis. I know you have your Amazon, you know, selling your book, whatnot. But do you like, you know, try to like put out a store and sell merchandise and you know like put them on shirts and that kind of thing, caps, or if that ever in a mainframe in the plan?
I would usually try to do those kinds of things for conventions and shows, you know, because it was like something special.
Right.
And, you know, usually, you know, I have a book come out about one of my Superman Fairy Tales books comes out once every other year. I have enough, you know, built up to come out with a full book.
Right.
And I have, you know, having one launched this year and not having a convention to promote it, you know, I'll say, you know, it was disappointing, you know, and, you know, you don't make the money that you're hoping to make when you put all the effort into it. But, you know, there's always next year. And so I'll have a book to promote next year, you know, and, you know, I still have a job, like a regular, you know, a full-time job where I'm, you know, making money. So I, you know, thank God for that. You know, a lot of my friends and people that I know, you know, they were either furloughed or let go, and, you know, and it's hard because it's just hard right now. So I'm just thankful that I still have like income coming in and I'm able to sustain myself. And, you know,
Well, you should actually still think about doing that, man. You should start an online store. I mean, a lot of people nowadays they keep saying, I'll wait till next year to start conventions. And I'm not trying to put a great cloud over everything, but it's good to prepare nowadays now while we still have the free time to
Yeah.
do so. Because
You're
I'm
right.
hearing,
You're right.
Derwin, you probably agree with me on this. I'm hearing stories that people are already starting conventions late this year, but they're going to
Yes.
make it like a 50% capacity onto it. I know
Yes.
there's like a few
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
December, and also I
Yeah.
believe one coming up this month. But
There's one this week. There's one this week. Yeah. There's one this week
exactly.
actually.
So, but
Yeah.
again, like you were saying, Francis, that
Yeah.
I don't want to be in an environment where I'm scared to get sick.
Yep.
Even if
Yeah.
conventions come next year, what are the guarantees that it's going to be a success? Because people are still going to be scared. People, then you got the capacity to drop it down to lower than 50%. you
Yeah.
know, Everybody's doing virtually now. Everybody want to go digitally now, and is this the right step? That's what I want to know. I'll open the floor to any of you guys want to answer
I
that.
think I think it definitely is because I mean one of the big takeaways is going to happen, and the GD's already out of the bag on this one, is people now know that they can work from home and be just as productive as if they go to the office. So
Yeah.
now people are like, why should I have to come to the office then? And it's not even them. Companies now like, damn, why are we paying for office space?
Exactly.
That's how much money we save not having office space and doing this. So that's companies. It's done, and you're gonna see a big shift to where people live because people aren't like, why do I have to live in the city now? Why do I have to do this ridiculous commute I hate every day, make my life miserable? Because I mean, I'm gonna tell you, because just like you guys, I taught some virtual classes during the summer, and the best thing in the world is just rolling over and go, okay, it's time to do a virtual class. I don't have to get up and dress, and I don't have to commute. And I ain't gotta. No, I just get on the computer and do my thing. I love it. And then when you get paid, it's like free money. It feels like, like thanks. So
Exactly.
yeah, and I believe that yes, we are. And you bring up a very good point. We should start setting up the virtual stores because my issue has always been it's so expensive to mail stuff to people that I don't bother. If somebody wants to buy one off print, it's like $20, and it's gonna cost me like $7 to $8 to mail it to them. It's not worth it. It's really not. And I'm like, well, that means you're paying $27, right? Because I'm not paying that shit, man. And but I don't feel right doing it. I had somebody that really liked my artwork from Australia, and I said, I'm sorry, there's just no way I can send it to you. There's just no feasible way. I mean, there is a trick that we can talk about off air, right?
Right.
That I found that does mitigate a lot of the cost, but then it does become a matter of, because honestly, that's the thing about going back to like comic books, right? And what people don't understand is that anybody can make your book, well, not anybody, but if you make a book, the hardest thing after making the book is distribution.
Yeah.
And if you don't go through Diamond or Amazon, something like that, you have to manually drive and drop your stuff off at all these stores, and you're limited by how far you can go, how far you can get, and that's the main thing there. Once you solve that problem, then it gets a lot easier. But I believe that this situation is going to force their hand because a lot of the industries, what we're seeing now is they were operating under these razor thin margins, and the lifeline snapped, the safety line snapped, and basically they were unsustainable, right? I'm gonna put out movie theaters here. Movie theaters,
God.
like Manhattan, it's $25 per person if you want to go see an IMAX. And then if you want to buy some food, you're looking at another $40-50 per person there.
So true.
Right? And that's insane. It's because nobody's buying movie tickets, so they kept jacking the price up to maintain profitability. Same thing with like comic books is when we were kids, it was like, and I remember people thought it was expensive then, 75 cents, $1, $1.25.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it's $7 for a book. I'm like, you're insane.
And then the book will be like a filler.
Yes, and the book is not even that. Let's be real, it's not even that good, right? And you're just like, wow. So then they'll say, well, comics aren't selling. But then you look at the Japanese comics because they're selling, you spend $10 and get 300 pages. What's a better volume there? But anyway, like I said, but I agree. And I think this situation is going to force people into this. I think it's going to become a lot more home based and a lot more small independent publisher. I think this is a really big opportunity for people like us independents.
Oh yeah, no
to
doubt.
make our mark and get our thing out there. Because yeah, let's face it, the big companies, they were not in the best shape to begin with, and this just was the death knell, you know. And like, yeah, you know, I can't really say too much.
Yeah,
because I'm kind of in that world and not in that world, so I can get myself in a lot of trouble if I say the wrong thing about the wrong, you know. So I don't want to burn the bridges, but yeah, you're seeing a lot of things that people predicted a couple of years ago, and it's happening now. We're like, yeah, you should have seen that coming. You should have prepared for
yeah, I
it.
wished.
You know, you really should have, you know, and yeah, especially in regards, I will say, in regards to comic books, especially, like, nope, I'll leave it at that.
Francis, anything to add to that?
Huh?
Francis, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, yeah, Derwin pretty much said it all.
So let me ask you this then. You know, do you think virtual conventions is the way to go? I mean, have either you or Francis? Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, for virtual conventions, I have not really participated in any. It's new, you know.
Yeah.
Do I think that? I think people like to go to experience like Comic-Con. They like to go there. They like to just be surrounded by it. They like to see the cosplay. It's not the same when you're looking at it on your computer.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people and I think, you know, like, I think like in the spring, if there's, you know, you're saying there's going to be a show like next month, it's going to be a show in the winter. I don't think it's really going to have the attendance that is going to make it, you know, financially, you know, viable. But I think, you know, as we get to next year, and let's just say there's a vaccine that's available in the early 2021 or mid 2021, maybe San Diego Comic-Con will have, will be something. And it's more likely New York Comic-Con, which is, you know, a year from now, will have some kind of in-person presence. Will they have, you know, the, you know, 80,000 people a day, you know, packed in, you know, like sardines? I don't know. People still might not feel comfortable, but on the other hand, people might be like, I've been cooped up for a year. I want to get out and, you know.
I think that's because we're seeing people rushing to beaches and stuff like that. So I agree that conventions will come back. I guess what I'm trying to say is, I don't think the publishing aspect is going to, the current publishing model is going to survive. But I do believe that comic books will survive and that comic book conventions will survive, right? It's just that there's going to be a huge paradigm shift in who's on top and who's the big dog and stuff like that. Because there's, you know, the big companies, they're owned by bigger companies who literally look at them and go, yeah, you're not profitable. You weren't profitable before, and now you're really not profitable. So no, why should we bother? Why do we even bother? Let's not even do that anymore. And it's going to become a much more fertile. It's like if you go to Europe, they have this incredibly fertile comic market. It's mostly comprised of independent publishers. You know, same thing in Japan, the doujin market, right? Doujin is, if you don't know, it's an independent comic. Any comic not done by a big company, right? And it's so much. The market is so much more focused on creator-owned projects in Europe and in Japan than it is here, where you're doing work for hire for another company. And I think we're going to see that aspect go. We're going to see things transition to that because, you know, what we have now is some very powerful entities slanting the entire industry in their favor, right? And now they're losing their hold, they're losing their grasp on it, and it lets other people come. Like I'll tell you right now, I'm working on a superhero comic, my own comic, finally, right? And I would never have dreamed of doing this years ago because I told Kelly this was like, don't do superhero comic. right?
Mm.
Because if you do a superhero comic, you're automatically competing with Marvel and DC, and they're gonna look at you like, yeah, what's up with that, right? But if you're
Calling
doing,
gangster.
yeah, yes, so gangster, and even then, it's like, so. And then what happens is you do a superhero comic, and you're going in for that. You're going in for a market that you're competing directly against. Like they're gonna come to you and I've only got so much money. And am I gonna take a chance on this guy I've never heard of, or am I gonna buy Spider-Man? And they're, you can't blame them for that, right? That's just a thing there. But I think what's gonna happen is you're gonna see those comics kind of fall away, and the vacuum that's created is gonna get filled up, right? And to be honest, I don't think that Spider-Man or something are gonna go away. I just think that they're not going to be published by Marvel and DC directly anymore, right? Because Marvel's already started farming out their books to IDW, right? That was a big thing. A non-Marvel company doing Marvel comics, right? And you're going to see that. I think you're going to see them basically say, well, we're not publishers anymore, so let's see you, Kelly, do you want to, let's continue. You want to do a Spider-Man book for us? And that's what you're going to see then, right? And it's going to be a lot more like Japan, where in Japan you might work for a company doing their book, but then also you can do your own book, and you got a chance to really make it big doing that. You understand? You don't kind of get squashed like it does here. So we'll see.
We definitely will.
Yeah, or be like the European model. I do believe that this is a huge opportunity for independence.
Oh yeah, I feel so too.
So yeah, I like that, like what you said, like the somebody might be able to take on like Spider-Man and maybe do their own twist, and also like what I like about Japanese manga is that it'll have an end to the Spider-Man, Batman, they never end because
it's like Archie. Yeah, you're writing a property, and a property is owned by this corporation, and the corporation wants the comic to go on forever. So when you're working on them, you're limited. You can't really make any changes because it's gotta stay there. But yeah, so like look at Dragon Ball, for example. Dragon Ball is one of the best examples of this. It's all owned by Toriyama. Every piece of Dragon Ball you're gonna see, it says copyright Bird Studio. That's Toriyama. That's him. That ain't Bandai Namco. That ain't Sony. That's Toriyama. So every single Dragon Ball thing on the planet, it's him. That's his money. What he says goes. And that's in the period. It's creator owned. All the Shonen Jump books are all creative owned. Naruto is Kishimoto. One Punch Man is a little bit weird. I think it's done by one, and the artist, the version you stick about it anyway. Berserk, you got Alita, Battle Angel Alita, Yukito Kishiro, right? And it's all them. And that's what I think the market will become here, and I think the market will be better for it. And because those books are creative, like, look, for example, Invincible, right? That's all Robert Kirkman, and it has
I can't wait for the Amazon Prime, though. I'm definitely going to check out the animation.
It looks interesting. And read the book. The book is it's a really good book. It's such a good book, And I feel one of the greatest crimes in comic books is he does Invincible, right? And his booth in Comic-Con would be, Invincible, right? With Walking Dead on the side, right? And then everybody's Walking Dead Invincible. Now it's Walking Dead Invincible on the side, and it's just like, and he's just sitting there counting his Walking Dead money,
I ran into Robert Kirkman at New York Comic Con a couple of years ago. Believe it or not, I was on my way to the restroom, and and I bumped into him, and no one actually recognized him there and whatnot. And I started talking to him and stuff like that, and I was like, "Oh my God, Robert Kirkman!" But I didn't say anything loud, like like I was a fanboyish. I was just like, "Wow," I was just acting like yo, in the TV show, in the live action TV show, is Rick gonna lose his hand or what? And are you gonna do that? Is that gonna happen? I would say, I cannot tell you that. I can't. But I did take a picture with him. I didn't take a picture with him, but I do have to wrap this up because we're all going on 90 minutes. I feel like we could go all night with everything that we're talking about. But I really appreciate you guys coming, hanging out with me, and talking about your work. You guys are both each talented people, and I'm really blessed to have you guys in my lives and whatnot. And I
Yeah.
love to watch the evolution of your artwork just progress more and more. Francis, I really hope that maybe one day, hopefully, do like an animation. I would love, and I would definitely, if you want me to do voices, I will be there, brother. I'll be there for free. I'll be in the
You're the first
studio
person
doing.
I'm going to call.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
You
You
know
do
what I'm
not
saying?
want to wind up with the Von Trapp family. All right.
And then Derwin, man, you and me, we've been hanging out with each other ever since
Yeah.
we met up, and we've been going to
Oh
the
yeah.
conventions. Some reason we're
Yeah.
always set up in the same aisle, or at least right next to us, or at least a couple
Oh
tables
yeah. It's
away.
all. It's all good.
You know what I mean? And
Serendipity.
I always love the advice and the talks you always give to me, and you have so much
Yes.
knowledge.
Likewise.
I wish I could eat your
Likewise.
brain and absorb that. But what I'm going to be
You
doing
should have
is,
said that to Robert Kirkman.
yeah, right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you guys at least 2 minutes to go ahead and promote yourselves. Tell everybody where they can find you, where they can get you. Talk about your whatever upcoming projects you may have going ahead and whatnot. Thurman, you go first, and then Francis, you go ahead next after.
Like I said before, you can find me at Blue Hanzo Derwin on Instagram. Facebook is Blue Hanzo on Facebook. My DeviantArt page that I have not updated in years is madplatypus.deviantart.com. My webpage also have not updated in years is Blue Hanzo's Dojo, because again, it's one of those curses. You get busy and you fall off from this whole promotion. It's a good problem to have. And right now, like as I said before, I'm working on Utterly Ridiculous Productions, so you can find it at udp.com, and I'm coloring those comics for them, doing some illustrations for them. And we've got Black and White and Black AF, and so White should be out soon. Go check them out. And I'm doing Corrupt for Spectacular Inc. And I am the co-creative. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, I'm now the co-creative director of Spectacular Inc. So yay me. And that book should be coming out in a couple of months because of COVID and everything like that. Time slowed down. And my own personal books I've been working on, and it's just been years, but it will be coming soon. And a few other things down the pipeline. Patreon coming soon. So
all right, there you go. Yeah, work on that Patreon, my friend. Work on that Patreon. I have to do the same thing too. Go ahead, Francis. Go ahead. Let us know where we can find you.
So you can find me on Instagram at Suburban Fairy Tales. You can check out my website, suburbanfairytales.com. I just had a new book come out, so check it out on Amazon. It's called Scared Sheepless. I got to have a new, like I said before, I got a Betty and Veronica Friends book, the last issue, coming out in next month in November. It's actually going to be a Christmas story, so if you like Christmas stories, pick that one up. And also on Facebook at Suburban Fairy Tales too, but I usually do more Instagram than Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, man, definitely check out these guys, man. Go ahead and look at their work. Support your local artists as well. Definitely follow Francis Bonnet on Instagram. He has some funny comic strips there you can check out. And then definitely represent and then buy that book. $10 for $18 full color. You can't go wrong on that. It's a bargain. And then also check out Derwin's books, whatnot, as he's also with Corrupt and things like that. Do it.
Yeah,
and yes, please. So, hopefully you guys will enjoy the program. I don't have a guest yet, a spot available for episode 4 just yet, and not a date. But guys, if I invite you to come back in the near future, will you guys come through?
Yeah,
absolutely, man. Anytime. Absolutely.
Yes, this was fun and very educational too. I like to see the progress of you guys and what you go through when it comes to like working on the books. And the reason I always bring up with the whole pandemic and all that kind of thing is because I want other people to know that, like in different scenarios, how it also affects artists as well, when it comes to it and things like that, you know what I mean? So they should be able to like realize and also see the process behind it all it's not just we press a button and it just appears on the screen. It actually is a long process to get something done. You know, I mean, even when I do my live drawing sessions, you know, it's usually 2.5 to 3 hours, maybe 3 hours and a half for me to finish one piece to continue, you know, to finish it. I should say, excuse me. But all this is being right now is the show here behind the artist table. This is all being broadcast right now, Facebook Live on MCon, which Derwin knows I do a convention every year at the library. Francis, I'm surprised you never reach out to me on doing that. Shame on you. You know, I do MCon. Huh?
I will fix that.
Well, we'll see when next time we'll have it. But we did have a virtual convention in May. I didn't want to cancel. If this was going to be our 10th year annual, this year would have been our 10th year annual convention if we had done it in-house. So we've been doing this for 10 years. And I had my first virtual convention with MCon in May, which we broadcasted everything by Zoom like we're doing now and broadcasted on Facebook Live for those who couldn't make it, at least get to check it out on their Facebook page. It was very successful. We had like over 3,000 people viewing it. That's from the Facebook, what Facebook reported to me. So it was a 2-day thing. So it worked out very well. And this month we're doing a Halloween edition where we're actually having a special guest, Austin Tyndall. He does the voice for Kaneki for Tokyo Ghoul. He's going to be coming with joining us on October 23rd at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And right now, where registry is still open. You can actually come out and to Zoom virtually and hang out with Austin Tyndall. And he also does other animes like Attack on Titans and things like that. So you could actually ask him questions and talk to him. And not only that, this Saturday, we're actually having Diana Port. She is a former cheerleader of Tampa Bay Buccaneers. She's gonna be doing a dance anime theme program at 12:30 this Saturday. We still got spots available to register. Go to www.eastmeadow.info. And we also have a Rizuki cosplay. She's doing a cosplay selfie party. You could come and dress up. I know Halloween is kind of a downer nowadays because this whole shutdown pandemic and Panora that's going on. Excuse me, I'm getting late for me. But you can still come through virtually and dress up in your favorite costume and hang out with a professional cosplayer to get some tips and expertise on how to improve your drawings. We're having nail designs. I did a drawing workshop. And we're also having a DJ, Justin, coming in to do on October 30th. We're going to do a Zoom anime and video game themed Zoom party. He's going to be playing some tracks. He's going to DJ it out, scratch the records and whatnot, and it's gonna be a blast. And that's gonna be on October 30th at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're having our first virtual cosplay contest, which is gonna be on November 7th. But we still need submissions in. So anyone that want to come submissions, send us some pictures of your costume. You could be able to win prizes donated from various artists and also Viz Media and Funimation. So we actually got some great prizes to give out. So anyone that's listening that want to do cosplay contests, now is the time to submit. You can email your pictures to my email address. It's in the event page on this Facebook page on MCon, EMCON, EMPL, Anime Fest. Well, that's it. On Facebook.
There you go.
Anyway, guys, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for hanging out with me. I would definitely love to have you guys back. Yeah, it's so much I could probably ask you and just get more into your head, but it's just so much. Another day, another dollar. And I wish you guys luck in the near future. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Stay safe and healthy.
All right. Have a good one.
Have a good one. And then let's see here. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to shut down.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go pass out.